how to have effective one-on-one conversations with the people you coach. Let's get into it. Having effective one-on-one conversations is foundational to impacting change, whether it's you through one other person, or you through one person who impacts their team, or you to a team. As a leader and as a coach, being able to effectively share your vision, share your strategies, invite people to participate in what the team is up to or what you need that individual to be up to in their job accountability is obviously important. And one-on-one communication often is a big fear for leaders and coaches. No matter how seasoned you or I are, we often resist having conversations with the people we coach. We often delay having conversations. We often know that there's some behavior that maybe needs redirecting, or we want to share with the people we're coaching or leading, or the teams we lead, a new direction for the company, or some priority that's urgent. However, we often find that slips down the priority list in our day or our week or our month or sometimes our quarter or sometimes our year. We really don't step up with urgency to communicate what's needed when it's needed. I want to look at this barrier to high performance. Much of what's lost in organizations' effectiveness, efficiency, profitability, sales generation, customer service for sure, is due to a delay in communication. If you're a founder of the company or you're a team leader, you know that speaking one-on-one with your key generals, so to speak, your people who are in charge and accountable for the different areas of the business, having that great one-on-one relationship with them to communicate is requisite to being able to manage your vision through other people, manage the performance of the company through other people, and ultimately have the results show up on the scoreboard. That is to say, the revenue, the profitability, the market share, the customer service, the new strategy implementations, etc. So I'm going to simplify right now. We want to keep this focused in a coaching relationship. I'm going to use the example of a one-on-one conversation, although this same three-step process could be used when you're communicating to your team or to, whether it's 7 people or 5,000 people. Number one is relax. So much of what we fear that will happen in one-on-one conversations, if you look in your experience, almost never do. But that fear, that anxiety, that worry of what could happen or how the other person will react, will they get upset? Will they like me? How will I do? Where will this go? Has us not even take the action. Therefore, we delay these conversations. They stack up on one another. And meanwhile, what suffers is the morale, our own experience of being an effective coach, because we're not in communication with the urgency that we know we should have, and the performance of the organization. Whatever it is that you want to coach that person in gets delayed. Therefore, there's one more customer not getting the experience that you expect, as an example. Or there's one more project that gets delayed and is behind on timeline, which costs you money. We must communicate urgently with the people we're coaching and have no consideration about how we will be perceived or about how they will perceive us. We must move past that. The worst anxieties that we fear almost never come true. What we create in our head by worrying about having a conversation actually gives us the experience of that anxiety here in the moment. And it stalls, obviously, our ability just to sit down with another human being. So we need to relax. We need to know that the other person is on the same page as us, okay, which is we're committed to the success of this organization. We're committed to the coaching goals we've laid out, either one-on-one or with the team, and that we can move beyond any concern about how this will go. So the first part is relax. Know that you're sitting down with just another human being. They have the same kind of concerns you do. They worry about how they're going to be perceived. They worry about how they're doing in the company. They worry about the goals that they may not be fulfilling. So this is an opportunity for two colleagues, no matter where you sit on the totem pole, two colleagues, two partners who are up to the same goal, to have a conversation about elevating performance and looking with each other about more effective ways to fulfill the big goals of the organization and the goals of the individual leaders. Number 2, treat your conversations one-on-one as an opportunity to discover something together. So again, in the context of partnership versus you have to come in as the coach and lay down the law and they need to listen, and it's going to be, teacher-student kind of relationship, which is limited in its effectiveness because people don't like it when the teachers told us what to do. So you want to come into your conversations with the mindset, right, that you're going to discover something together. So that's number 2. Look to discover something together. This is an opportunity for us as 2 people committed to the same future in this organization to really look and see what we could elevate. What else can we put in place that will help us get there faster? What is it that we need as individual leaders or as individual teams to make sure that we're succeeding? The discovery space in coaching is very important. It allows you to stay in an inquiry with somebody, looking with somebody. You have the experience of being on the same side of the desk versus on opposite sides of the desks. I want to get over here with the people I'm coaching and see, how they view the world and see what it is they're dealing with. And then we're looking together at best paths forward, right? So use a discovery mindset when you're going into your one-on-ones. Therefore, this leads to number 3 strategy, which is you don't need to know the answer. You see, I don't need to know the answer as a coach. Most coaching does not require you to give answers. That is a pitfall of coaching. Sometimes we think as being a great coach, people come to us, they ask us a question, we must know the answer. Otherwise, what are we doing here coaching them? That's not the case. I very rarely give people answers to what they ask. Sometimes it annoys them, but that's okay. Because real growth doesn't come from an answer being given. It comes from, as I said, staying in an inquiry about what's needed. Right? And eliciting their opinion, eliciting what they see would be the path forward that they can own and be accountable for. And together then we can look at what's really needed to be effective and again, winning the game. So let's recap the strategies to be effective at one-on-one coaching conversations. 1, relax. You are just talking to another colleague who is just as committed to fulfilling the future as you are. 2, be open to discovery in your coaching conversations. Find something new together in the conversation. And 3, get used to not having the answer. You don't need to know everything in advance. And it's okay to say, I don't know, what do you think? By combining those 3 strategies together, I promise you what will dissipate is any of the anxiety about having conversations in the first place, right? If we don't need to know the answer, and if we can discover something together, and if we're just talking to somebody who's just as committed as we are, then you might actually really look forward to one-on-ones, and you may jump into those conversations, on the fly more regularly, schedule them more urgently, and include more people in them, right? And train others how to have those effective one-on-ones in your organization. Obviously, the faster we can communicate and the faster we can address issues and the faster that we can resolve anything that is waiting for resolution, the more empowered people are in the organization, the more effective they are in having the direction they need, and the more accountable they become. So go ahead and take this on with the people you coach, right? There are people right now that I know if I ask you, who do you need to talk to? Who do you need to coach? Who do you need to address some behavior with? Who do you need to elevate performance with? There are names that come right to mind which you have been procrastinating talking to. Try on these 3 steps. Get out there and impact change. They're waiting on you as a coach. They expect it from you as a coach, and you expect it from yourself.